I'd like to gavel this meeting to order of the Geneva Historic Preservation Commission for Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. I'll start with a roll call. What's that? Matt will do the roll call.
Hartman. Here. Jensen.
Here.
McManus.
Here.
Solomon. Stazen.
Here.
Zinke. Zelmer.
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. Next is we have approval of the meeting minutes for September 20th, 2022. Does anyone have any comments regarding the meeting minutes from September 20th, 2022? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes of September 20th, 2022.
Okay,
I'll second that.
great. I guess, could we just do a voice vote or do we have to do?
Yes, we do.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Great. Okay, the next thing is November 15th meeting minutes, 2022. Any questions or comments? If not,
No.
can I get a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes of November 15th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Great. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay, one abstention. Okay, that's it for item number 2. Item number 3 is the 5-minute field goal guide. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Chairman Zelmer. So with the predicted snowstorm approaching, along with many holiday celebrations, tonight's 5-minute field guide looks at holiday sights and sounds and their architectural associations. We are all familiar with a window pane as a reference to a piece of window glass set into a frame, otherwise known as a light. And with the wintertime holidays in full swing, we've been hearing a lot of music with words that evoke the images of the season. However, some of the most familiar images of the season are reminders of architectural terms we encounter in preservation. For instance, wreaths are present in many forms and locations in our historic buildings. These circular garlands often incorporate organic elements and foliage. Found on building exteriors and interiors as decorative elements and panels, wreaths may also be found in decorative plaster ceilings, such as this arched coffered example from Cadillac Place in Detroit, Michigan. In architecture, wreath may be associated also with spiraled columns, which are also known as Solomonic or cabled columns, as well as being associated with stairways with curved wells. In fact, the term wreath is the actual name for the short, curved section of a stair handrail at its turning point. Did I stump a few architects, perhaps?
Yeah. I learned something.
That's the purpose of 5-minute field guides. A festoon is a decoration in the form of a garland or drapery hanging from 2 points, typically with the ends hanging vertically. Festoons are often composed of leaves, evergreen, fruits, flowers, and similar objects. Festoons are most often incorporated into the classical revival buildings, but also are commonly incorporated in many late Victorian era residences as well, such as in the frieze of the attic gable in the center image. The left or the rightmost image is a festoon incorporated into an ornate door. Oops. Whether a 16th century New Year carol adapted in 1862 or a catchy tune from a Broadway musical a century later, favorite holiday songs are filled with architectural imagery of vast, grand spaces. For those of you who have been singing Deck the Halls all the years, note that the real words are Deck the Hall. Today, we think of a hall as a hallway so named as a passageway between major rooms. Centuries earlier, however, the term hall referred to a large room for public assembly such as a banquet hall, a dining hall, or a lecture hall. These rooms were often associated with grand parties and public gatherings. The great halls of the Tudor era would be decked out in the finest appointments for these elaborate celebrations. The term ringing from the rafters does not necessarily refer to the structural elements of an attic space that supported a roof. Instead, the term is said to be derived from the grand events in these great halls, church sanctuaries, and more modest Tudor Revival residences of the early 20th century, which had exposed rafters at the interior. Some references suggest the boisterous gatherings or jubilant worship services could shake the dust from the rafters. Poems of the season, revered by children for 2 centuries, make references to architecture as well. I'll admit, as a child, I was confused by the order of the actions in this poem: tore open the shutters and threw open the sash, which seemed backward to a kid who only knew of exterior shutters. However, like their exterior mates, interior shutters were also used for protection from elements as well as sun control. Louvered exterior shutters assisted with ventilation before screening. In fact, when coated with lamp oil and combined with lace curtains at a window, louvered shutters were fairly successful in keeping flying and crawling insects out of a home's interior. The paneled interior shutter example at the right, the paneled exterior shutter example at the right shows typical hardware for locking the shutters at the interior side, as well as shutter dogs mounted at the base to hold the shutters open. Also note that shutters are mounted to the inside edge of the opening so that they could be fully closed with against the window sash. Even festive holiday ribbons can be related to historic architecture. Ribbon windows are an architectural element consisting of adjoining windows with minimal or no intervening wall sections or columns. Introduced in the late 19th century, ribbon windows were popularized in the Prairie, Art Moderne, and international architectural styles. These images represent the work of 2 world-famous architects working 2 decades apart. And even in the tale of Ebenezer Scrooge, we find architectural connections, particularly for us preservationists. For example, ghost marks in architecture are patterns or outlines discovered that indicate earlier construction that has been removed over time. These ghost marks help us to understand the past in our present time. They may be discovered as an outline created by different layers of paint over time, remnant stenciling or wallpaper found behind later alterations, or the profile of moldings that have been replaced or removed. These ghost marks are useful in recreating authentic interiors that have been lost due to changing times or fashions, or simply to replicate exterior trim features that have disappeared. However you celebrate the holidays, and however you view historic architecture, my hope in this holiday season is that you will always find a sweet connection between them. Are there any questions or comments?
That's cute.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is review of building permit applications, 201 South 3rd Street, case number 2022096. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Zelmer. The subject property is located in approximately the center of our local historic district and is located in the eastern half of the Central Geneva Historic District listed in the National Register of Historic Places. As outlined in the staff report that was submitted as part of the agenda packet, the house was built around 1875 and is known as the Clark Joshua House. There was a previous house on this site built before 1860, but this was replaced with the current residence. The site was also the location of an early abstract office operated by John Enoch Clark, the son of the builder of this home. The office sat in the corner yard and was raised in 1902, according to newspaper accounts. John's father, Thomas Clark, was a carpenter by trade, and is credited with building this stick-style home around 1875. It was operated briefly in the early 20th century as a boarding house, but was then sold in 1911 to Mayor A. Joschel, who actually became the mayor of Geneva for 3 terms. Mayor Joschel is responsible for much of the remodeling that resulted in the house that you see today, including the 3-sided wraparound veranda along 3rd Street. The history of the veranda and the additions to the house was outlined again in the staff report. The current request is to remove some existing sliding glass door units that were installed around the early 1980s that enclosed the original front porch. The proposal is to remove those windows or those doors and replace with a fixed storefront system of aluminum and anodized aluminum storefront system. So this is a close-up of the porch, so you can see it both from the corner of Campbell and 3rd Street on the left, and a detail looking at the west elevation that faces 3rd Street. The proposal is to replace 5 units. So there is 1 window on the north end of the porch, and I should point out that 1 bay of the porch to the left of the north window that's being proposed was filled in probably in the 1960s, it appears. So part of the porch has been actually infilled with wall space on the north side. There are then 2 units facing 3rd Street directly, and then there are 2 units on the later addition, which created a vestibule when it was converted to a restaurant in the 1980s. So the original, or that vestibule, is not an original element of the original Joschel porch. Just to give you a floor plan reference, the purple area on the screen is the original 3-sided veranda. You can see part of it has been removed for the addition to the south. The green area, the very light green area at the front, shows the 1980s vestibule that was added to the porch. The yellow lines represent the 5 windows that are being proposed to be, or the sliding doors are being proposed to be replaced with windows. And I've numbered them, so again, you can kind of reference them as you have discussions if need be. So the proposal for the infill glazing is to just take the existing sliding glass door units out and replace them with a divided light pattern that would pretty much replicate the divided the window divisions of the sliding glass doors. However, I pointed out in the staff report, and just for clarity, there was added, when these sliding glass door units were installed, a secondary soffit below the porch lintel, which I've highlighted in red, which is a drop soffit to bring the original porch opening height down to a standard 6'8" patio door unit. Per the SOI standards that endorse respecting historic openings, I'm providing this element to show what may be considered appropriate under the SOI standards for full height glazing and not replicating the divided mullions of the sliding glass door units, which again are not historic in the way we look at this building. Just to give you a reference, it would add about a small section of height to the window openings if the secondary soffit could be removed and the original porch openings were able to be fully utilized. And again, as I point out in the staff report, there's no information in the drawings that were submitted and probably not known until some interior demolitions on whether any utilities run in that secondary soffit that was installed in the 1980s. So I don't, again, the SOI standards would suggest using the full historic openings, but there may be some structural or mechanical issues that need to be addressed if that soffit does carry those elements. So again, the SOI standards would suggest using the full height of the existing porch. So again, in this rendering, I think you can see a little bit through what the height of the existing sliding glass door units are, and this would make the glazing just a little bit taller if that soffit could be removed to comply with the SOI standards. With that, that's my brief introduction to the extent that I know the project. At this point, I'd like to ask Dylan Fuller from Global Power and Construction, who is the general contractor for the project, to come forward, and he will give you more information, other things they may be considering, and answer any questions the commission may have. And I can go forward or backwards on any image you want to present.
Got it. Okay. Yep. Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is Dylan Fuller, representing Global Power and Construction. We're the general contractor, and then also kind of a unique scenario where the owners of our Global Power is actually majority owner of the proposed restaurant as well. It'll be called Mandrake. It's like a fine dining and wine experience. So we're pending approval today. We're very close to pulling our full building permits. We'd be underway with construction hopefully early January, with like a 3-month construction duration, pending some long lead items. But anyway, Michael basically hit everything, hit the nail on the head with everything as far as our proposal. We don't have any stipulations to what he's, some of the recommendations are. And yeah, I think you hit the scope right on. So
You had mentioned before that you may be considering altering the storefront of the door also.
yes, yeah. I think if you can kind of see on the slide up here, there was 5, the plans show 5 proposed replacements, excluding that front door, but just for continuity across the front, and also just for a restaurant's sake, we're looking also to replace that front door with a similar system. It'd be probably a dark bronze or clear anodized aluminum storefront system. So just give you a continuous look across left to right.
Go ahead.
Just so that I'm understanding this correctly, so are you considering then removing the secondary soffit that's in going to the fully extended from bottom to top?
Yeah, so we received a demolition permit for interior demo last week. So we've been out there doing some, minor, basically getting started on the demolition, getting ahead of the game. So we need to remove that paneling from the interior side to kind of see, like Michael was explaining, what's above those, if there's structural headers, any steel, if there's any mechanicals that run up there before we make that decision. We would love to, ideally, it would work better for the restaurant as well, aesthetically. It's just pending opening that up and just understanding that, we don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars to reframe all of that entirety. So, but yes, we would be very open to that.
So let's say that you do find that there's going to be some additional problems. If you do remove that secondary soffit, will you be presenting a new plan in front of the board then again, or how would you handle that situation?
I guess, Michael, that'd be a question I'd have for you about how we would tackle that.
In the past, when there's been discovery of something minor, or if it turns out to be minor, you've allowed staff to do it. So I think that whatever your discussion would be, if you have 2 options that, yes, you would approve X, but if Y is possible, you would leave it up to staff to work with the applicants. They don't have to wait another month to come back. That's been done in the past. So
Okay.
that's how what the comfort level of the commission feels.
Okay.
Okay. The storefront system that you're dealing with, is it just a standard aluminum system? And what's the profile size of it basically? Do you know?
I think most standard framing is 2.5-inch framing, or maybe 3.5-inch. I think it's 2.5-inch framing.
Yeah, you can probably get even 1 3/4 by 4.5. If that, I assume you're going to do insulated glazing within that.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay.
A standard, your
Standard Conair system.
Old Castle.
Yeah,
You gotta see which
Just a
whoever can get
storefront
it
system.
faster. Correct. Storefront. Yep.
Okay.
So.
Okay, and you were thinking for color, you were thinking dark, almost a black or something to that look.
Yeah, standard color that they roll out is dark bronze is what they call it. Dark bronze anodized aluminum, and yeah, that's probably the color we're leaning towards. Just it kind of goes with the flow of our restaurant.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll actually, if you did that and we were to approve it, I think it would probably be in shadow most of the time, so it would probably look better than having anything. I think if you did clear anodized, it would stick out more.
Yeah.
So,
It'd look a little more modern as well if we went clear anodized. I think the darks, personally, so.
okay.
One of the questions that someone asked me during the week was, if you're using the standard system, are you doing a deeper section at the base as a baseboard type of thing with the glass, or are you going to keep the narrow all the way around?
I think narrow. I'd have to talk with our glazer on the specifics of that, because yeah, the bottom of the window would just really be sitting at floor elevation. So I don't know if they're going to build the bottom up. I don't think so, though. I think it would be the same width all the way around.
So
Do you-
then, the storm depicted on the package dimensionally shows 6'8" for us. So this
Yeah.
isn't,
Turn on your mic.
so this will not, given this discussion on the soffit, will not be proportionately, this is incorrect then. Is that correct?
I'm not sure it's to
The-
scale, right?
Right, the drawings that were submitted show them 6'8", which would be below that secondary
Right.
soffit.
Okay.
Correct.
So proportionately, it's going to change a little bit. Could we go back to the floor plan, Michael, please? I've got a question. Since the elevation extends, and I see on the drawing, I had to read that, it says, not in, what's that last word? Not in scope.
Scope.
Okay, I see the other elevation to the south. And what I'm wondering is, you're concentrating your efforts on this portion, but then the other portion matches what is existing. And so now we're going to have two different systems on the same elevation. I understand it's being treated as two different pieces, but it really is the same elevation, isn't it? That's why I asked earlier, Michael, on we don't have an elevation drawing on this, because I'm very interested to maintain continuity of the entire structure, and to physically separate it. Then there's another door over there. I'm just, what's the intent with the rest of it? Do you know at this point in time?
Yeah, so that's a separate business. So that parcel's not associated with us at all. They're adjoined, but we don't own that. That's actually
Okay, but it's part of the same building and same elevation though, correct?
yeah, certainly. The
Okay.
buildings are adjoined. I believe that's also a Shodine property. I think it's some sort of little boutique or something. But so I don't know how that would work out. I don't think we would have a say in that. We're just leasing the facility. We're leasing our portion.
Okay, I understand that, but I guess trying to be a little succinct on this, have we considered how this new framing on the part that's in the scope will blend with something that's part of the same structure that isn't in the scope?
I think one way the commission should look at this, or could look at this, is it's a non-historic and non-compatible addition. So if we were looking at look at another property where somebody's looking to put in a contemporary addition on a historic building, we would look at that not necessarily having to match the rest of the architecture, but have some tie to it.
Okay.
But I think that Mr. Fuller is correct that the building reads as part of the large brick addition, not as part of the frame house, the way it's kind of set up, even though it is in the
Okay.
same plane. I understand your
Well, that's why I was interested in the elevation, the photos. I was out there today, but, okay. Thank you.
There were no exterior elevational drawings submitted.
Could you go back to the couple photos we do have?
Take that one.
Yes.
So this one clearly shows what Commissioner Stasen was speaking about, that you've got that boutique to the right of the.
There's other
entrance door.
windows there too, isn't there?
Yeah, they're not sliding glass doors, they're fixed
Right.
windows and a door more like what's on the current restaurant, but they don't even match the current restaurant door. They're slightly different.
So I guess the impact, it'll look like almost, well, I guess that's possible in other buildings we've looked at where it's one structure and there's two different sections too. So I guess there is precedent for that.
You can think about the project you approved 2 months ago, I believe, across the street at 200 South 3rd, where they're going to do a very contemporary storefront at that former garage that is on a
Mm-hmm,
Italianate house.
right, okay.
Hmm. Any comments, Mr. Hartman?
Well, like I said, so you're not gonna know anything until obviously demo.
Yeah. Yes, sir. We can know as quickly as this week. But yeah, we need to basically just remove some interior paneling.
Right, not to keep reiterating it. So if it's non-structural, and there's no mechanicals, you're going up with it.
Yes, sir.
For this drawing right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think I should note also, because the drawings are here if anybody wants to look at them, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much a complete gut of the interior as it is. So, asking to expose the interior soffit is not a far leap from the other work that's being done inside. I mean,
Correct. Yeah.
And that structure for the patio doors, when that was the part of the original structure, so is it safe to assume it's unlikely there's bearing load underneath on top of those soffits?
the columns are still functioning as the porch columns.
Yeah,
the load
no, I
wasn't
mean,
taken
but
off.
the soffits, I mean, I would doubt did they wrapped anything structural? I guess we'll know, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't know until we know, right?
I'm thinking this elevation is very likely. I'm thinking that like he's referring to it as a secondary soffit would be that was framed below that existing header that runs across there. So I'm assuming it's very likely that we will be able to match this elevation and go up with it.
Yeah.
Removing that, hopefully that soffit's just basically a big void that they framed
Right.
down.
I mean, they do look better going back to the original height.
One of the questions I do have for the commissioners, because we've run into this before, again, until they take those sliding glass door units out, we don't know what the condition of the original porch floor decking is, nor do we know the condition of the backside of the porch columns. We've had, we've had projects where the commissions wanted that to come back with specific details as to what the repair method's going to be. We've had other cases where the commission has said if it's fairly minor, we'll allow staff to work out as long as material in kind. So whatever motion you put forward, I would just like some kind of clarity how you want to deal with any discovered deterioration, how you want that to be handled in the future.
With the option of allowing staff to make a decision
Yeah, either that or
if
if you want to
something
come
is
back.
discovered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, either way, just make it clear in
Yeah.
your motion, whoever makes that motion.
okay.
What is is it still a porch then, or is it is heated out there, correct? It is conditioned space.
Yeah, certainly. On the inside of the glass, correct.
Yeah.
That becomes part of our dining room.
Okay.
Part of it's going to depend on their demolition, their interior demolition being completed, because there are multiple floor levels, if I recall from being in there in
Yeah.
July, that you'll have to figure out what's actually going on under all that.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Oh, if you go back to the floor plan, you come in at a certain level and then you step down or step up, or?
Down, I believe, isn't it?
There's some up and there's some down. If I
Yeah,
recall.
there is, yeah.
It was in July that we first met with them on site, and I just
Okay.
remember we had to watch our steps several times.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Ms. McManus, any thoughts?
No, I mean, it's not historic existing door opening anything. I think it's kind of an improvement if we can, remove the soffit that's in there, pull it up to the ceiling height. I think that's a good option for the space. I don't have a lot to say, honestly.
Okay. Well, I think that, is it pretty much the thoughts that if they can go up and remove the soffit, I think that would probably be what I'm hearing from the commission. That would be the preferred method of doing it. But we probably could live with the fact that it would be okay if it doesn't if it has to come down at the level of the soffit. And then I think the other item would be what's the feeling on the commission on taking out the intermediate mullion? I mean, I think you're better off personally, I think you're better off with one big pane. And since that's the recommendation of the SOI standards, when you're going to replace, put that kind of glazing in there, I would think that that's what we'd want to do.
Right.
So it's just to kind of sum it all up. I like the idea of having dark bronze anodized. I think that would actually work with, I don't know whether you're changing the color of the outside at all or.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah, and if you can get something if you replace that door, I think if you do replace the door, we would want to come back and see exactly, that could be a pretty quick thing of, it's probably going to have to be on order anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting what you would want to replace it with, and then we could take a quick look at it. I don't think we would leave that up to Michael to look at. Correct? Whatever you think, right? I know.
Your call.
I know.
Your commission.
Our commission, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we could come back with some, maybe a shop drawing, even if.
Just a shop drawing, yeah, to kind of say, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, this is kind of what we're thinking. Because I'm curious, it looks like there's another like little canopy over the canopy, under the canopy, and I think, or is that just that might just be an awning.
I think it's an awning, a canvas awning.
Yeah.
But it
And-
is lower. You're right about that. That's
Yeah.
6'8" door. So the panel, there is a transition
Yeah,
from right by the Cubs, the panel there. You can see the
Yeah.
difference in elevation.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
it would be lower
Yeah.
than the two side lights that are on either side of it.
yeah. I think that it might be that canopy could work. I don't know, you're probably leaving it because it works as what it needs to be, which is cover over as you come in.
Yeah. We didn't intend on touching it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Right now, it's going to stay in its existing condition, but
Sure.
we're open to anything.
Yeah, and you aren't actually, your request doesn't have the change of the door in it either, right?
No, I just mentioned that to Michael tonight.
Okay.
Just that
Okay.
we're kicking the idea around. I can't remember if that door is a knob handle or a lever handle, but to upgrade to an aluminum storefront style door, we can get a little more ADA compliancy with a
Sure.
proper pull handle, maybe a panic bar on the inside. So it allows us to do that as well.
That's good. And I think you might want to look at it all and like that awning at the same time
Sure.
to make sure that we get a whole package when you come back through.
Okay.
Mhm.
If you do it, again. But does the commission kind of agree with my summarization, my summary?
Yeah, it was a good summary.
Okay, so I need to get someone to put together a motion, I guess, to kind of reflect that. And you want
Oh,
to try?
oh, okay, I'll give it a try. I move to approve the application for window replacement of removing the secondary soffit and expanding it to a one big panel. Am I doing okay, Michael? And associated repairs to the street facing of a contributing property, and coming before the commission if more extensive replacement and repairs are required.
I think maybe we were hoping that the staff could
Well, we
approve.
talked about the door, so that's why I
Well,
threw that
I
in.
think
I don't
the
think the
door
door's
is a
part of this.
separate issue altogether.
Okay.
So I think it's more of the, I think what we're looking for more of is if for some reason that soffit is a problem, I don't know whether I want to have them have to come back for that. You know,
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
I agree. So only to come back with a separate application for the door?
Maybe we just don't mention the door at all.
Okay,
but state that we were looking for if the staff can approve the,
okay,
staff can approve the
Minor.
modification.
okay. Staff can approve the minor replacement and repairs of the secondary soffit
Kind of if required.
if required.
Did you get that? Okay. Can I hear your?
I'll second that motion.
Great. Can you call the roll?
Hartman,
Yes. Approve.
Jensen,
Yes,
McManus,
Aye.
Solomon, Stazen,
Aye.
Zinke, Zelmer.
Aye. Motion pass. We'll look forward to seeing you guys again. Hopefully it goes well and everything is what you expect it to be.
Yep, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you for coming in. We
Yep,
really appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it. It is Mandrake.
Mandrake.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we have a secretary's report.
I have nothing this evening.
Oh, good. And then we have new business from the commission. Does anyone have any new business?
I do have a question. I should know the address of the front porch awning on 3rd Street. It's been temporarily covered up. Is it by Ford?
Oh, I know.
What's
On the
the status
corner?
on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know code enforcement is continuing to work with them. I know that they have taken their fence apart as well. And I'm not sure which project is a priority with them, but I do know code enforcement is trying to get both the fence and that area above the historic door entryway repaired and finished. I talk with Jim Fournier, our code enforcement officer, regularly, like every 2 weeks, to get an update on that. And right now, there's been no movement other than the fence has been partially taken apart and the boarded up area is still remaining.
Yeah. I mean, I feel they might have prematurely tore that off before, for whatever reason. I'm ready to stop by with my truck and finish that project.
I know that one of the issues is that the request was for a larger front porch and there's a lot coverage issue.
Oh, okay.
But still, I know that our code enforcement official is trying to at least get a safe stoop and the building exterior closed up and finished, whether or not they can move forward with a larger porch or can deal with the lot coverage issues. But I do know those are the things that are being discussed with the
Okay.
property owner.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, maybe you could give us a quick rundown of what we expect in January meeting, or is that premature?
Well, I can tell you that January 18th will be the meeting date, which is Wednesday, because we were pushed back one day in the month in January. There is a public hearing scheduled for the demolition request at 4 East State Street. And it looks that we have at least 4 cases that are trying to make deadline. So it will be a healthy meeting that evening.
11 o'clock before we're out of there.
You will not be here, and Commissioner Zinke, Commissioner Jensen will not be here for the January meeting. So if anybody cannot be here, I need to know that sooner than later.
I'll be here.
I'm planning on being here, but we'll see.
Should be a well-attended meeting, I'm sure.
I think it will be a well-attended meeting, and it will be probably a little past 8 o'clock for sure.
Yes. Whatever happened to that townhouse development on the north end there? I feel like it's been like a year since we've heard anything.
At Hamilton and First Street?
Yeah, it was over that,
Oh, the large one just east of the Ace Plaza, or west of the Ace Plaza? Are you referring to that
I
one?
think so. I don't remember the,
They are currently still working on a development plan, trying to make something that will work with the marketplace. I know that they are in constant negotiations or discussions rather with the plan and zoning about different options. They are still looking at what is the right product for that little section that's in the historic district.
yeah.
But again, there's nothing that's been submitted or finalized as far as I know.
Okay.
And the one that is at Hamilton and State Street, or not State, but Hamilton and
First?
First, is that dead or is that?
Well, the application is over a year old, so it would be a new application. It's actually well over a year old. My understanding is the property is for sale, but we've not had any inquiries or any proposals come forward in even a conceptual or preliminary state at this point. Okay. Anything else you want to test my memory on?
Well, let's see. Okay, I think that's it. From the public, do you have something to say? No. Okay. With that, can I get a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. We are